right, so up next, if we were standing around the LGBTQ water cooler, this is what we think we would all be talking about this week. We refer to it as the hot topic of the week. The White House National Security Advisor this week, Jake Sullivan, revealed that the United States has sent a letter to the United Nations warning that Russia has created a kill list of Ukrainians to be attacked or detained in case it invades the country. Well, as we know, we're on the verge. The list is said to include journalists, activists, ethnic and religious minorities, and then the National Security Advisor uttered the words, and LGBTQ Ukrainians. Our hot topic of the week, the U.S. warns that the United Nations Russia has created a kill list, and it's going to dramatically affect the LGBTQ community as they try to prepare for Ukrainian invasion. What do y'all think about his announcement and going to the UN?
Well, it's even before he said LGBTQ. I mean, activists, journalists. I mean, that's everybody at this table.
Right.
You know, because we raise our voices, and because people in Ukraine have been raising their voices, they are going to be detained, imprisoned, re-educated at best, tortured and killed at worst.
That's a really good point.
What's going on in the world in terms of the rise of authoritarianism? Why are we seeing it? So much of it has...
Because it's easy and people don't have to think. You just put your faith in one person. We look at Trumpers.
Whatever you say, Putin. Okay, fine.
Yeah, I mean, Trump has already come out in support of the Ukrainian invasion and supporting Donald Trump. He's literally supporting, and our former Secretary of State is supporting
Pompeo.
This.
Pompeo.
Oh, was it Pompeo? I thought it was the last. Okay, never mind. Yes, you're right. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Could you say that again?
You're right, Al. And I'm very sorry.
Nails on the chalkboard.
But no, Putin is, Russia is a terrorist state. They're a terrorist state with a lot of territory and a lot of nukes.
Yeah, and you asked why authoritarian, Al. I think, that goes back to visibility, right, and progress. So the more progress we make, the harder they fight back against that, right?
It was heartbreaking watching the stories of some of the parents, right? So these parents are like begging their children to come back, right? There was this one gay boy, super cute, and he met another gay boy there and fell in love, and he doesn't want to leave his boyfriend. And his mother's pleading with him, you're American, come here before something horrible happens.
It goes back to, we talked about 1932, 1934, everything was fine until it wasn't fine. And these lists are frightening. And you think of the world we live in today compared to the world of early Germany during World War II. We have Facebook, we have social media. It is very hard to hide at this point because we've gotten so used to being out, especially in our community. So do you think they got the list back then? Just think of how easy it would be if something were to turn here, and on the LGBTQ community.
I'm curious, do y'all think the LGBTQ community here in South Florida and across America is paying much attention to what's going on in Ukraine?
No.
Why not? Why?
Because we're insular, we think about ourselves only, we don't think it'll happen here. We've never had a war on our own grounds other than like the Civil War.
In our lifetime.
In our lifetime. So that happens somewhere else. That doesn't affect
That will never
me.
happen here.
Yeah, right. And that was a big argument during the last administration before he was even elected. You tell people, I think he's going to do this. I know it. And people are like, you're crazy, you're overreacting until it's a real thing.
That's shockingly scary to me because Martin Luther King famously said that you should be involved in the march because it will affect you when they come and knock on your door.
Right.
And that was his point.
Absolutely.
And let's remember, we're on the verge of probably the largest refugee and humanitarian crisis since Yugoslavia broke up in the early 1990s. And I just pray that the American government and NATO doesn't push LGBTQ to the back of the line, because that can happen so very easily.
The union seems to be much better on LGBT than America. So my first reaction is, wait, we could learn a lot about what's going on in Europe. They are, even to the extent basically the Supreme Court of the Union ruled just this week that Poland and Hungary, if they continue in their LGBT abuse, are going to sacrifice billions of dollars.
Billions
of
with a B,
payments,
Al.
with a B, to Hungary and Poland because of their human rights stands toward LGBT. So it would surprise me if the European Union, in whatever humanitarian crisis broke out, that they would ignore. And you contrast that to what we're watching in our own state capital, who've gone in to say on Friday, let's suggest an amendment that, like Nazi Germany in 1937, we're going to sniff out the Jews and go into the schools and find out that you're LGBT, and then we're going to bring it to the attention of your parents so your homophobic parents can handle you in whatever way they see fit.
Right.
Just draw a pink triangle on them. That's
Yeah,
it.
Right.
I mean,
Jeez.
that's
It
what
is
we're getting
beyond
to,
frightening.
right?
It's
I mean,
beyond frightening.
And since we've been talking a lot about this the last couple of days, I mean, literally last night when I was sleeping, and I'm not a vivid dreamer, but like this whole, everything that's happening here and what that repercussion is nationally and then internationally, and between Ukraine, between what's happening with Don't Say Gay in Florida, it is frightening. I mean, and like we talked before, I don't know how we shake people enough to react, because when we talked earlier, the majority of Americans support LGBT. They support gay marriage. It's not those folks that have to be convinced. It's the people that are afraid of losing power that are then controlling
It's the
these
radicals.
people who go, I didn't really care, so I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden we have a crisis because we weren't paying attention, even though we thought it was wrong.
You know, I've had so many conversations in this last week. We've, of course, reported it at Queer News Tonight. I'm very proud of Queer News Tonight because we keep putting these stories in front of our community to say,
You're
okay, right, exactly, of going, you know, this is really important to us and you should pay attention. We've just gotten through the Olympics. Taiwan is under attack by China. Hong Kong has already virtually been destroyed. They have violated what they agreed to in the 1999 takeover to the British, when the British said, okay, we'll allow you to transfer, but you're going to allow Hong Kong to operate independently. That has been destroyed.
Yeah.
And
Did anyone really believe that was going to happen?
well, I guess optimistically, the
was
most
hope.
liberal
Hope, but I just felt
hopesters
like
in the
how-
world,
yeah.
and we have just had 2 weeks of an Olympics of, you had to ask over and over again, why did China get the Olympics in the environment that they are in now? It's completely different than 2014 in the hope that this would help propel China to a new place. Now it's 2022 and we know the new place never came.
Right.
They're authoritarianly dictatorial on their people, and they'll do whatever they want. They will create genocide for an entire race of 1 million people in China, even to the fact of this week, the news not resonating in LGBT. I think it's a disgrace, honestly, that Friends launches on their streaming channels and they go back, the state government of China, to edit out you.
Yeah.
You can't exist in Friends
Yeah.
from the 1990s.
As a
And
side story. It's not even like the main story.
I could have been Rachel's lesbian neighbor
Hell
that also had sex with her.
Yeah.
Yes, please. A little bit of Jennifer Aniston.
I swear, I feel like, oh, Al, are you just going crazy? Because I draw the moment of the simplicity of what China did on Friends in writing out those storylines so nobody would know it, to the exact same thing we're watching in Tallahassee this week.
That's right.
That's what they want. They want to erase us.
Yes.
And is next pride parades and pride festivals, and what else can't we do because it'd be bad for children to see?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It'll make
This
them
is just the
uncomfortable.
first step in
Yes.
that
Yeah.
direction.
It is. It's just a frightening time.
Yeah.
Well, Ukraine is certainly topical. We'll watch it. We hope we're not watching the potential of these kill lists. We hope that there's exaggeration in the United States and the National Security Advisor's claim of what they're advising at the United Nations. But in the world we're living in, you can't make that assumption. And in the world that we're living in, I keep wondering if the LGBTQ community here in Wilton Manors, let's start here in Wilton Manors, we stand up and go, nope,
Not here.
we're not going to allow that, not here.
Not here. Yep.
But so far, we're not doing that.
No.
Sorry, we're not.
LGBTQ plus news is vital for our community and for the broader world as a whole. We have enough enemies at Fox News. Tucker, Sean, and Laura are loud. We need passionate allies. Happening Out Television Network, Queer News Tonight, and It's Happening Out are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. Our community needs your support. Like this broadcast and subscribe now to ensure the growth of the entire LGBTQ